Seven of my guys, seven players on these 2025 New York Jets that I am higher on than most Jets fans. Starting with number one, second year in a row, doubling down, Will McDonald. Now, we all know that Will McDonald is at the very least an excellent situational pass rusher. He's already checked that off 10 sacks and 60 plus pressures last season. Now, he's added 15 pounds. He was supposed to come in heavier last camp. For whatever reason, it didn't happen. This camp, he's 15 pounds heavier. The run defense has to get a lot better with Will, and he's probably never going to be a great run defender. There's just limitations to his game, and you have to make the trade-offs with the way that he's built, and he's never going to be 265 pounds, is what it is. But if he can get the run defense to where it's below average or mid instead of a liability, then that will justify, well, number one, obviously that will just make him a more impactful, well-rounded player when he is on the field, but it will justify playing him a lot more as well, which would obviously increase his production as a pass rusher. You can get him on the field 70+% of the snaps if he can hold his own against the run. And although he was an older prospect, it is his third year still. He has 1 year as a starter, so he's still learning, getting better. He was a bright spot on a defense that took a massive step back last year. So I'm doubling down on Will McDonald. The fourth, I think he truly has like contending for leading the league in sacks, pass rush, tools, and potential. But those dudes who lead the league in sacks are out there 75% of the time. And typically it's because they meet a minimum threshold of run defense to allow them to be out there. Think he can do that. And the pass rush tools, he's got them all. He's got the get off, he's got the bend, he's got the lethal spin move, he has the length to finish, he has the ability to climb back up the pocket once he gets around an offensive tackle. He does have decent strength to drive through contact as a pass rusher. Obviously, going the other direction, he's got to get better, but the pass rush tools are all there for the third-year player. So number one would be Will McDonald, edge. Number two, Olu Fashanu. Let's just go back-to-back first-round picks. Olu, I think if you just look at his left tackle reps from last year, you should be really encouraged by what we saw. Now, he had that little foot thing. You don't like little foot things on 300-pounders, but no limitations so far in camp, so it seems like he's good to go. And guys like Will Parkinson, Connor Rogers, when they've been out to camp a couple times, they said he looked like the best player on the field. I think he's poised for a second-year leap, and I think he could be a top 10 left tackle. And if he is, he'll be one of the 5 most valuable Jets on the team. It's so hard not to make the DeBrickashaw-Ferguson comparison just in the way he carries himself and not being necessarily a mauler, but just polished, smooth, physical enough, good enough against the run. Let's hold down that side for the next 10 years. Olu Fashanu, number two. It's not, to me, it's not just like, oh, it's solid, we have a left tackle solved. Like, to me, it is, if I had to pick a player who's going to make an all-pro on offense, I don't know if Olu Fashanu isn't my pick. Wide receiver is tough. I don't know if Garrett's going to get the 1,600 yards required. Olu Fashanu might be the bet I'd make if you told me the Jets were to have an all-pro on the offensive side of the ball this year. Number three, Mason Taylor. Hey, Mason Taylor tweaks his ankle, and all of a sudden, the Jets passing offense in practice can't even get a first down. How about that? Well, that's not very good news about Jeremy Ruckert and Andrew Beck and Stone Smart, but it is good news about Mason Taylor. He seemed to have right out of the gate taken that tight end one spot. And with these first 2 picks with Membu and Taylor, I have pretty high expectations for them as rookies. Once you get past that, a little bit more patience is required. You're getting out, especially when you get to the Arian Smith and you're outside of the top 100 picks. But I'm looking at this pass catching unit, and man, Mason Taylor needs to play a significant role on this offense. Justin Fields has highly targeted tight ends in the past. A guy like Cole Kmet getting 700 yards is a common talking point we bring up with Fields. And I think Mason Taylor can have 500 yards this year and a couple of touchdowns in a team that's not going to have a ton of passing volume. That will be a significant amount of the passing volume that is distributed towards him. I think he's going to have a big piece of the pie. The blocking, We're probably going to have to live with some limitations as a rookie there. He was the 21 years old when he was drafted. And collegiately, very rarely do they come out as polished blockers. It's typically a 2 to 3 year process with that. But I think he can be a guy you can flex out in the slot and get matchups you like, and you can have 12 personnel that almost functions as 11 and to mitigate some of the lack of depth at wide receiver. Mason Taylor, I think, is going to be a huge part of this offense. And for this offense to work with Justin Fields, they need a legitimate tight end. And it seems like maybe early signs, it hasn't played a real game yet, but early signs that he might be up to the task as a rookie. All right. So now we got to go off the beaten path. I've kind of given you probably all like those guys, but I think I like them more than average. I have higher expectations than average. Here's a real, some deep cuts, okay, for the back half. Dude, Tony Adams. I know these are my guys. They don't have to be your guys. My guys. Tony Adams. Now, I love Tony Adams as a UDFA coming out of Illinois, DB University. Obviously, he's struggled, and him being a starting safety isn't necessarily the best thing in the world. But there's a lot of players I'm looking at this defense last year that, again, it was a down year for everybody. So Quincy goes from all pro to pretty good. Quinnen goes from all pro to pretty good. Jermaine, out for the year. Sauce goes from all pro to pretty good. Michael Carter goes from top 5 slot corner to all right. He's in and out. He's kind of banged up. So everybody regresses. The previous year, 2023, Tony Adams played 96% of the snaps on a defense that was top 5 in the NFL and led that defense in interceptions. And already in camp, who's getting the most interceptions? Tony Adams and Cisco. He's an incredible athlete. He's really good in man coverage. He has to improve his tackling and the ability to take angles. The Jets defensive staff has already made a bet in fixing one defensive back with a fatal flaw in Brandon Stevens. Next on up, Tony Adams. And look, I hope Malachi Moore is starting over him sooner rather than later. But if I had to bet right now, I'd say 55 to 45. Tony Adams is the week 1 starter next to Andre Cisco. And I just don't think he's the worst defensive back ever. I think he belongs on an NFL roster. And he is 26 years old. So this is probably make or break for him with a new staff. But we'll wait and see. I think Tony Adams might be okay. He might be okay. And okay is probably better than what most Jet fans think about Tony Adams. Number 5, Andrew Beck. Andrew Beck was, I believe, the first free agent that Darren Muji signed. It was the first guy that they brought in. And he has a very specific thing he does well. I think he is the Jets' best non-offensive lineman blocker. And non-offensive line blocking last year was one of the hidden reasons why the Jets were really bad. Their tight end blocking was atrocious last year. They didn't really use a lot of fullbacks, but they just didn't get anything from that part of their game. And you have to. You want to run the ball well in the NFL, you got to block. The Vikings just extended their blocking tight end to like $7 million a year. I think non-offensive lineman blocking is going to be the next thing that really good teams leverage and guys start to get compensated for. You look at teams like the Rams, like the Niners, who consistently churn out good running production, even when their top running backs are hurt, whatever the case may be. It's, you need a minimum threshold of talent on the offensive line, but from then it's like their scheme and their offensive lineman blocking. Guys like, Kittle and Juszczyk in San Francisco, and guys like when the Rams had Benjamin Skowronek or whatever, like a wide receiver who kind of can kick out and play like a fullback. So Andrew Beck, I think he adds that element. He's played fullback, he's played tight end, he's played special teams. So to me, he's almost a roster lock because I think this offense is going to use a fullback, and he's the only one. So Andrew Beck, he's going to be around. If you're watching this, you obviously probably know who he is. But if somebody is a more casual Jet fan who just tunes in September, they'll be like, "Hey, who the heck is Andrew Beck?" But we know about him now. Number 6 is Byron Cowart. Now this is tricky because he's been one of my guys since they signed him. I thought he was pretty decent in Chicago last year. Now, he did almost nothing before that, but just his games in Chicago, those are the only ones I watched. I thought he looked pretty good, man. I thought he was, and he made a lot of, there was a lot of impressive plays from him, like really good speed, like moving sideline to sideline on getting out there on pin and pulls and screens. I really liked his motor and his energy with Cowart, and I think he gives a little bit more balance because someone like Derek Nottie, Peyton Page are mainly run stuffers. Somebody like Leonard Taylor III, who I haven't heard anything about in camp, hoping he makes the team, is a pass rusher, but he definitely gives you a little bit of that balance. And I don't love him as a starter next to Quinn Williams, but I think if he was your number 3, if he was your first defensive tackle off the pine, I think he'd be pretty good at that. And for the contract that they got him for, I think that's pretty reasonable. Pretty reasonable. And then number 7 is going to be Jarek Bernard Converse. I just hope they're able to keep him. I like the corner depth on this team. You got AZ Thomas, Stiggers, and JBC. I'm hoping they can keep all 3. And then maybe in a year or two, there's a 3-man competition to have some cheap starting boundary corner services opposite of Sauce Gardner. And this is pretty much just going back to his athletic profile coming out of LSU. And his preseason last year was excellent. He was awesome. It's like, well, it's preseason. What does it matter? Well, I mean, hey, that's what we have to go off of with some of these young guys, these bottom of the roster players. So Jarek Bernard Converse, crossing my fingers that they're able to keep him along with the other young corners that they have at the bottom of the depth chart. Those are my 7. My guys, John Aquino says, wish I got paid money to gain 15 pounds. Yeah, well, gaining 15 pounds is not hard. If you don't specify how the pounds have to come, I mean, you can gain 15 pounds in 2 weeks if you really, really wanted to. But yeah, it just didn't happen last year. It was kind of weird. Like Salah was like, yeah, it just didn't happen. And we're like, why? I don't know. And then this year, Glenn was like, yeah, we're good. He's gained the 15 pounds. So cool. Took Will McDonald 3 years to gain 15 pounds. Well, I don't know if they asked him between his rookie season and camp too, but it took him 2 years, right? It took him 2 years to get that done. But let's not move the goalposts on Will too far because at first, remember, he was the worst pick ever. He was, he was Vernon Golston 2.0, right? Should have had Broderick Jones. Oh my gosh, terrible pick. Could have had this guy or that guy. We need to do this position more because, of course, you have to look at your roster in a one season vacuum when you're trying to make a 10-year investment. Yeah. No, you don't do that. You just take a good player at a premium position. Then he goes out there and he gets 10 sacks and 65 pressures on a defense that's falling apart because their coach got fired and his other edge counterpart gets injured in the second year. So down the stretch last season on third downs, he's getting double teamed as a second-year alleged bust. And then people say, well, he can't play the run. It's like, okay, well, don't move that goalpost all by yourself. You're going to hurt your back. Get some friends and shift that on over. Yeah. He was his first year as a starter. He gets 10 sacks. When's the last edge player that got 10 sacks? Calvin Pace. That's not bad for a bust. So how about his second year as a full-time starter? Let's see if he can improve the run defense. And then if he does, he's going to be one of the most valuable players on the team. Like right after Sauce, Quinnen, Garrett, then it'll be him, like right up there after that. So, Will McDonald is good. I don't know if the Jets are going to be good, but Will McDonald's good. John Aquinas is excited for Mason Taylor this year. Yeah, I'm pumped for Mason Taylor. I'm glad they didn't wait too long on tight end. They really needed a plug and play guy there. And if they would have waited to the 4th, 5th round for like a developmental guy, I think it would have been not great. If Clemens starts week 1, it's an automatic L. Well, he's probably going to start week 1. I mean, I don't know. Start is kind of a relative term on defensive line because they rotate so heavily. Whereas offensive line, if you're starting an offensive lineman, you're playing 99% of the snaps. But yeah, Clemens is going to be on the field a good amount week 1. If I had to guess, I don't know what the deal is going to be with Jermaine, but who else? If Jermaine isn't ready to start, who else is starting if they don't sign anybody? Eric Watts, and I know okay, we were sick of Clemens' antics, but is Eric Watts better than Clemens? I don't know. To me, Rucker being the second tight end is actually a worse situation than Clemens because they're going to run 12 personnel a lot, and we just don't have as much margin for error on offense. What's up, Chris? Thanks, Marcelo. Appreciate that, man. Matt says, I'm more confident in our O-line now. Excited to see the run game open up. Yeah, that is definitely... this offensive scheme, I'm just really hoping we come away from this year being confident in Glenn and Engstrand. If we're confident in Glenn and Engstrand and Fields massively improves, that's just like hitting the lottery. That's hitting a home run. I'll take a double. A double to me is, are you confident in Glenn and Engstrand? Do you have a prepared, buttoned up, physical team that actually plays like a team, and that the sum is greater than the whole is greater than the sum of the parts? Because last year's Jet team was the opposite of that. It was more talented than a 5-win team. But they shot themselves in the foot. They weren't detail-oriented, all that stuff. Can Justin Fields have the best year of his career? Maybe that's not good enough for him to be a top 12 quarterback and be like the guy or whatever, but still, okay. That would be a positive referendum on your coaching staff. And specifically on offense, can Mason Taylor just be good right away? Can Arian Smith not have to be inactive and he's still learning? Do they have a role for him right away? Can Stone Smart exist? Stone Smart existing would be a really good bellwether for Tanner Engstrand, because we've seen Stone Smarts before. Lawrence Cager, I've seen that. And it's it was made up. We made it. It was a figment of our imagination, not real. Can Stone Smart be a real, actual person? If Stone Smart exists, that's a great sign, because we have not been able to get offensive production from mid-late round picks or scrap heap pickups. Got to start doing that. So let's feel good about Aaron Glenn and Tanner Engstrand by the end of the year. And if we feel good about Justin Fields, that is just the icing on top. Ahmad says, I'm buying Breece stock. He looks much better. Yeah, I've said it before. You can't convince me he isn't much leaner. And yeah, we've seen him be an excellent running back. We've seen it. It's been a while. It's definitely been a minute. It's been since that Patriots game in the snow at the week 17 of the 2023 season, right? When the Jets sent Bill Belichick off to retirement. So it's been a minute, but it is in there. He's done it before. Contract year. Breece stock is at an all-time low. So buy the dip. Buy the dip on your Breece Hall stock. I think that's a fair strategy. I think we are getting a little too, and I like Isaiah Davis, but I think we're getting a little too, it just is the standard, how people love the backup quarterback or they love the reserve guy. Again, I like Isaiah Davis, but I think we're, let's be honest. They gave him a halfback draw on 3rd and 18 and he would get 7 yards. So you're going to have good numbers doing that. I like him, but I'm not ready to, and I like Braylon Allen, and he had a couple of nice moments early and some good short yardage. But other than that, what did he really do? He averaged like 4 yards a carry. So we know that one player in this running back room that we know has proven he can be a top 10 running back. We've seen that. There's one guy in the room that's proven that. That's Breece Hall. I think we're ready to put him out to pasture and, anoint Isaiah Davis and Braylon Allen as, Walter Payton and Emmitt Smith. But I'm going to say, hold on. I am not convinced it's going to be a running back by committee. I think Breece Hall has a chance to grab this thing by the horns and be the bell cow. And not that you want to run him into the ground, but if you're the Jets, it's running back. You're not going to sign him to some 5-year deal. So go as far as he can go. He actually doesn't have a ton of tread in terms of carries in his career, a lot of it because of injury. He's never had 1,000 yards. So, give him the ball. Plenty. Yeah, and I like Isaiah Davis. I truly do. I was making my notes for top 25 Jets. Like I almost had him at number 25. Marcellus has a few, because to me, Isaiah Davis is one of those guys where if he's like the change up back, it's gonna be really good. But you don't know how guys are going to respond to increased volume. It's very tough to project that. You see this in the NBA where it's like this guy scores 9 points a game, but he only plays 16 minutes. So if we play him 32 minutes, he's going to score 18 points a game, and then you play him 30, and it doesn't translate. So we'll see. I agree with the comment that said buy the Breece Hall dip, and that's not excusing last year. That I think we can believe two things. Last year, Breece was not individually good, but he can be very good again this year, like he was in 2023. When in 2023 he had horrible offensive circumstances, and I think this year, schematic changes, Armand Membu here, maybe some better tight end blocking, the threat of Fields being able to run to help your horizontal spacing. But let's be honest, the Jets are going to face some stack boxes. That's going to be part of it. It's tough to run. It's going to be tough to run if the other team just knows that's all you can do. So they're going to have to keep teams honest enough. Why didn't we sign Noah Fant? I was down to sign Noah Fant. You know what I mean? We don't like mid players. He's mid. Dude. Mid would be an upgrade for the depth in that room. You know what I mean? So he's good enough to be the Bengals tight end too, and they had the 7th best offense in the NFL last year. So yeah, I would have been down for some Noah Fant. Is it going to change the overall trajectory of how we feel about the end of the season? No, of course not. But very few signings do that. That's where I would have, that's where I would have liked to just add a veteran, to be honest. Wide receiver, it's tough because the wide receiver free agent market is so gross. You got to pay like $17 million a year for Darius Slayton or whatever. And guys like Keenan Allen and Amari Cooper were never going to come to the Jets. But I think a tight end, the Jets could have had a nice sell. Like the Jets could have told whatever Noah Fant or whatever other mid veteran who can get you 500 yards and be a pro in that room. They could have said, or like, it's a 21-year-old rookie and then a bunch of roster bubble players. So you can come here and you can compete to be the tight end one. So that was a pitch that the Jets could have had. And Justin Fields throws to his tight end one a lot. So you're going to get some stats. So I do wish that the Jets had something else in that room, to be honest. I think that's a fair critique of their offseason. Because we've already seen in practice, Mason Taylor misses time, and it's like, oh my gosh. Jeremy Ruckert's dropping a pass off his face mask, and then it goes in and intercepted. So, but the positive spin on that is it seems like Mason Taylor has already established himself as a pretty valuable member of this offense, which is good. More concerned about offensive line depth than anything. Yes, I think they have a good backup. They have a solid backup right tackle and center, but guard and left tackle, I think, you're probably crossing your fingers there a bit. James says Braylon Allen maybe gave us a bit of a clue as to how Glenn uses third team. Allen has been on the third team coming back from his injury. Yeah, he's got like knee soreness, right? Yeah, I think that's just an injury thing, probably. Although I don't know if Braylon Allen or I think it's going to be Breece and then a big gap, and then the other two will be close to each other. Could be totally wrong. That's just 100% my hunch. I have no idea. Could be wrong. Wide receiver Arian Smith looks like a problem. Gives Deshaun Jackson vibes. Well, that would be awesome because Deshaun Jackson was incredible. Now, see, we got to get on base with these picks. Get on base. I did that like with my rookie expectations video. And somebody commented, which you might be right, and thank you for watching. And somebody commented of the players who were on the board. And to be fair, all those players he mentioned, I was like, yeah, I wanted Jalen Royals. Like you guys, if you guys watched any of my pre-draft videos, I never mentioned Arian Smith once. You know, I knew who he was. I knew who he was because he played for Georgia. It's a big program, but he was never really. I don't know. We did a bunch of mock drafts. Never mentioned Arian Smith. Okay, so well, I was crossing my fingers for somebody else. Okay, that's fine. But the point I made is like, dude, we got to get out. Like, since when? Why does nobody say Isaiah Davis or Quantez Stiggers are bad picks? Isaiah Davis, 5th round. That's only 1 round later than Arian Smith. Isaiah Davis is a 3rd round player and is a 3rd string player in his 2nd year at the least premium position. Yeah, but no. He is a 3rd string player at the least premium position in his 2nd season. Now, here's the thing. I don't think Isaiah Davis is a bad pick because guess what? Once you're picking in the 5th round, if you have a player who plays some sort of role for you and stays on his team and he's on the Jets for 4 or 5 years, that's fine. That's getting on base. What's not getting on base is Izzy Abanikanda, who doesn't even be active for you, and then he's on a practice squad, and then he's in the CFL. That's a difference to me. I think we get so high on like it has to be a whole like picture either Jamie and Sherwood or like Ja'Kai Polite. But there's a big middle ground where the Jets have really struggled to get on base. Joe Douglas hit home runs and he struck out. He was Dave Kingman, and obviously this coaching staff, Saleh and Douglas together. We're Dave Kingman. You got to get on base, man. Why does no one say Quantez Stiggers is a bad pick? Well, the guys who were available. Christian Mahogany was available when Quantez Stiggers and Isaiah Davis picked. He's a starting offensive lineman. But that's the easiest thing to do. It's the easiest thing to go back and say that. To me, I don't think that's fair. I just say if Quantez Stiggers is a good backup corner and plays special teams, 5th round, fine. If Isaiah Davis is a solid complementary back, plays some special teams, fine. If Arian Smith is a wide receiver 3 or a wide receiver 4 that has a sub package and is a good kick returner, then fine. And honestly, I'm being even more strict with Smith than with the other guys. So that's what doesn't make sense to me. That's why I said the rules changed with Arian Smith. All of a sudden, Arian Smith, why isn't Isaiah Davis or Quantez Stiggers a bad pick? When I can go back and say you could have had Christian Mahogany. Why does nobody do that? Doesn't make sense to me. I rebuke this logic. Get on base, baby. I wish Malachi Corley got on base. I wish Malachi Corley was a wide receiver 3. And at the time, if we picked him and I said he should be a wide receiver 3 by his 2nd year, you'd say that's not enough. He was basically a late 2nd round pick. He should be a high end wide receiver 2. All good and well, but guess what? If Malachi Corley, we already knew, we felt confident he was a solid wide receiver 3, that is a lot freaking better than him about to be playing for Shanghai or whatever. So I don't agree with this. I don't agree with this new Arian Smith rule that was enacted the second after he was drafted. That never was a rule before. I don't understand. Remember when the Jets drafted a quarterback whose leg was snapped in half? And it's like, yeah, this is great. And it's like, oh, wow, his leg was snapped in half. So now he's like, yeah, dude, but Arian Smith is worse than that. I don't understand. I'm the Arian Smith defender, just in principle, not even him particularly, but what he represents. The Arian Smith clause. I don't agree with the Arian Smith clause that was enacted 5 seconds after he was drafted that changed the rules of what a draft pick is supposed to mean. I don't agree with it. If Breece plays like he did in 2020, what do you think of an extension would look like? I mean, Kyron Williams just signed 3 years, $33 million. I mean, that would be fine to me. $11 million a year. I'm sure James Cook agent didn't like that, but yeah, I don't think anything Breece has done is show me he's a $15 million a year player at the running back position. But 3 for 33, probably only 2 of it is guaranteed. That'd be fine. Malachi Corley season might be over before it started. Maybe they're just, we'll see. The preseason game who will tell us a lot. Not necessarily by how guys perform, but who's out there when. Who's out there when. That will tell us, that'll give us a nice early indication. Eccles looked like a beast backup. Yeah, Eccles was an awesome dime defensive back. I think he's the kind of player that if you, same thing like we talked about, diminishing returns, if you upped his playing time, I don't know. I mean, I think some of the analytics show that in coverage, it definitely wasn't the best. And even his tackling, like he was a physical, scrappy dude, but he missed a lot of tackles as well. But nose for the ball, I don't care. That's a skill. Nose for the ball is a skill. I don't know what the scouting term for it, but we know what it means. He has a nose for the ball. Even Ashton Davis, it was kind of funny how like guys like Eccles and Davis would get all the interceptions and our star defenders would never cause turnovers. Less time on the field means less time to mess up, more time in the field. Yeah, and then just more expectations, you know. It's just different. It's why it's tough to always project that. Yeah, that was the Bryce Huff thing. It's like, well, if you double his stats to like playing this amount of time, he's going to get like 87 sacks. Not, so it's not always a perfect science. It's why we hate keeping Clemens so much. We keep pulling for Corley, Stiggers, Davis because we don't have that much experience with them on the field. Yeah, of course, the unknown commodity is always going to be viewed in a higher light. Now, if they cut Clemens to save $4 million, I can't really complain about it just because I think he's a replacement level player, but at the same time, he's probably the third best edge on the team right now. I don't know. Like if the Jets signed a Zadarius Smith and Jermaine Johnson was healthy, nobody would care that Michael Clemens played 28% of the snaps and got $3.7 million. But because he's being thrusted, a couple spots above his weight, punching a couple of spots above his weight, it's like, I don't know about this. Hopefully a lot of guys play versus the Packers can't have people like Lazard sitting out. Yeah, 100% agree. Seems like Mason Taylor might not be able to go because he's the ankle, which is kind of a bummer. Tyrod Taylor, I'm definitely worried if Fields gets hurt because Tyrod, it just seems like, I'm like, dude, how do you get hurt in practice as like a quarterback? Like, what is going on? So Tyrod is just he's become so brittle. It's like if Fields, like say Fields has to miss a month, the probability that you're going to also see the third string quarterback that's why I think they should have signed someone like even Snoop Huntley. I know, but it's like, dude, and maybe they don't care because they're not trying to compete this year, but I'd rather watch Snoop Huntley than like Brady Cook or AJ Martinez. I don't know. But Snoop Huntley went to the Browns, who now have 6 quarterbacks on their roster, which is insane. ES2 says I was in Rochester for the first time, helping my sister move. Man, it's Bills country out there, being a Buffalo Jeff and SPL. Yeah, I mean, pretty much in between. Because I've lived in on Long Island. I lived in Central New York, and I've lived in Western New York. So, once you get outside of New York City, Long Island, New Jersey, Connecticut, um, the rest of New York State is not really a lot of Jets. You get some Giants here and there, and then as you get towards like the boonies, you get some Eagles and Steelers, like a decent amount of Steelers. But it's mostly Bills, like in in that area, in that no man's land between like Albany to Syracuse to Rochester, Buffalo. It's mostly Bills. You know, I remember even when I was living in Binghamton, New York, which is like southern tier. It's like an hour south of Syracuse. We wouldn't even get Jet games on the TV. It wouldn't even be on like the local CBS. It would just be Bills. And unlike other cities, like if you go to Charlotte, North Carolina, there's going to be people from everywhere, right? If you go to Austin, if you're in Miami, but in Buffalo, it's like it's just people from Buffalo. You know what I mean? It's not a lot of people are moving from San Francisco to Buffalo or whatever. So it's just the Bills, right? They're the big show in town for sure. So it's almost assumed. Like if you start talking sports with somebody before they even ask, "Are you a Bills fan?" or whatever, they'll just be like, "Yeah, we gotta get another defensive tackle." It's just assumed that you're a Bills fan. Sometimes they don't even bring it up. Yeah, but when I do spot a rare Jet fan, it's nice. Who do you want to see go off on Saturday? I want Arian Smith. All these guys. I would love this. Arian Smith, Brandon Smith, Corley, and Zaire Barnes. Yes, you're speaking my language, man. Arian Smith, and then really like the young defensive lineman. Like, can Tyler Barron exist? Could we get Tyler Barron sack? Is Rashad Weaver? Rashad Weaver is going to be the next Tack McKinley. Remember that guy? Tack McKinley hype train. Yeah, man. Arian Smith will be my number one rooting interest during the preseason, though, for sure. Because we desperately need some help at pass catcher, man. You know, like if him and Corley, like if we end the year and we're not confident either him or Corley can at least be a wide receiver 3, which, like, let's be honest, with Corley at this point, it is completely a hope and a prayer. That would suck because then that means we have Garrett and literally nothing else. Because all the other guys are 1-year rentals. So Arian Smith, we need him to be good. And Mason Taylor, I already kind of think he is. I'm not worried about him. So Arian Smith. Ruckert is tight end 1. Yeah, well, Mason Taylor is injured for sure. So I think he'll be tight end 2 for the most part throughout the year. But tight end 2 plays a lot, you know? Their grocery stores have whole Bills merchandise. Yeah, it's a thing, man. Like schools will, when the Bills play on Monday Night Football, schools will let out early. It's the whole thing. You know, if they lose, everybody's depressed. And then I like to just walk around like just happy, because here's how it's typically gone the past few seasons. The Jets season is typically over right around like November 1st. Jet season is over. Then it's just me hoping that the Bills lose. Although I do like Josh Allen. He's hard to root against. He seems like a good guy. But I just want them to lose. They're my, since Tom Brady has been gone from the Patriots, the Bills are my number one hate watch, even more than the Dolphins, because I never see Dolphin fans, so I don't care. But I just can't have the Bills winning a Super Bowl. I can't stomach that. That can't happen. It can't be allowed to happen under any circumstances. It's the only thing we can say. that the Jets won a Super Bowl once. That's all we have. Yeah, Arian Smith is good. Yeah, I think I tweeted Arian Smith might be good. I cautiously put it out there. And then people were like, "Oh, it's practice, you idiot." It's like, yeah, guys, will you let your hair down for 5 seconds? Like, good Lord, have a little fun. It's going to be a long season if we're very uptight. Wow, great. Aaron Glenn's discipline. Let's see how that plays when they're 2-7. Okay, well, I know. They disrespected a legend. They disrespected a legend in Aaron Rodgers. My God, guys, let me tell you something. The Jets never had Aaron Rodgers. They didn't. They didn't have him. They didn't have him. They had him as much as they had Tyron Smith. It wasn't real. We made it up. We imagined it. It never happened. It was about to happen for 4 plays, and then he tore his Achilles and had to go to Guatemala and get it rebuilt with dolphin scrotum to repair his Achilles. At 41 years old, it was done. It was done that night. Sorry. We got to move past it. I know people are still bitter about it. That's where a lot of the negativity comes from. The funniest thing to me is like the people who say the Jets are going to win 2 games, but then also simultaneously say they would have made the playoffs with Rodgers. So you think of 58-year-old Rodgers is the difference between winning 2 games and winning 10 games. That's crazy. We've been deprived of a playoff game. Dude, let's make the playoffs in the first 2 years. Because when we look at the end of the next 2 years, more than half of the teams in the NFL will have made the playoffs. Because 14 per year, but obviously there's some turnover. So more than half of the teams in the NFL would have made the playoffs in the next 2 years. And at least a couple of them are going to be teams that kind of like look like they suck and all of a sudden they come out of nowhere and make the playoffs. Now, of course, well, what if they go 9-8 both years and they miss the playoffs by a field goal going off the goalpost both years and they have 2 back-to-back winning records? Are you going to fire everyone? No. What if they don't make the playoffs, but they draft a quarterback next year and the last 10 games, he looks like the second coming? Okay, we can cross those bridges when we come to it. That's fine, but it shouldn't be that hard to scratch a 7 seed within your first 2 years. You know, is that too much to ask for? Get blown out in the first round. I don't care. I just want to look for like the excitement leading up to your football team playing a freaking playoff game is so fun. I just want that, man. I just want the buildup of the week. You know, and then you're playing with house money, whatever. You're the Jets. You get in as a 7 seed. You have Justin Fields on like a rent-a-quarterback rookie head coach. Nobody wants to deal with that because it's complete. All the pressure is on that home team. Yeah. I will do anything for a 7 seed wildcard appearance. Anything. Pats did with Mac Jones. I must have memory hold that. Yeah, the Pats did make the playoffs with Mac Jones. Yeah, we got to figure this out, man. We got to make the playoffs. Have you looked at any of the 2026 draft QBs yet? No, I mean, I'm sure as the college football season starts, I'm sure we'll start to take a look at some guys who are doing well or maybe not so well, but have I done like 2026 draft homework? Zero. I don't even start digging into that stuff until honestly like typically January. So, but Dom C would be your guy for that. I'm sure he already has like a ranking among them, you know. And because things change so much. And also I want to give Fields a fair shot. Like I do think it's, and I don't know. I know Justin Fields fan club was getting a member of that fan club was getting upset at my comments the other day. Like, stop the hate. It's like every Jet fan wants the same thing. They want Justin Fields to crush it. And there's no like, it's not even like we drafted him or we're in the season and we're blaming something else because of Fields or whatever. Like, we haven't even gotten there yet. All Jet fans are just pretty much like hoping for the best with Fields. So no Jet fan can be a Fields hater yet. Maybe it'll get to a point where things get dicey and then some hate may have to be dispensed. But as of right now, look, the fact of the matter is Justin Fields has not proven he can be in a long-term NFL quarterback so far through 4 years. That's just the fact. The fact is he was made available for trade and the highest the Bears could get was a 6th-round pick. That's just a fact. The fact is he was a free agent this year and the highest he can get was being the lowest paid quarterback who's guaranteed a starting spot, who's not a rookie. These are just facts. So if you got to take it up with the entire NFL. And the league is as desperate for quarterback plays it's ever been. Quarterbacks are more overdrafted and overpaid than they've ever been. So that's just reality. Now, sometimes the NFL is wrong. So we're hoping the NFL is wrong. But you got to look at it from that context. Like because he just feels he's got a crew, right? He's got a crew, and sometimes they come in and they say, "Stop being a hater. You don't deserve what you're about to watch. Justin Fields is perfect." And it's like, bro, like you're arguing with 32 GMs. You know what I mean? So take it up with them. Take it up with them because I'm rooting for Justin Fields. I'm rooting like hell for him to be good. Don't take that up with us. He just got here. And we have to say he's the Messiah after 5 seconds, after 2 training camps. Give me a second. Let me see him win a couple. It won't take much. Let Justin Fields go 4-2, start 4-2 with the Jets. I'll be in. But he just got here, dude. See, the Justin Fields fan club, we gotta just chill out. Let it play out for a second, man. Same thing with the people who say, "Oh my gosh, he shouldn't be in the NFL. He's just a Zach Wilson." Let's just give it a hot second. One team we can always slam the fans, dude. But they've been kicking our ass. Have we ever beaten Tua? Still, is that still a stat? Are we still like 0-6 against Tua? I mean, geez, we got to beat them. We cannot get swept by the Dolphins or Patriots this year. Even the Bills, it really shouldn't happen. But if it does, it might not. Whatever. You can't go like 1-5 in your division this year. It's just because even teams that are scrappy and well coached, like within their division, they're competitive. I remember watching games where it was like the Jeff Fisher Rams were in close games against the Legion of Boom Seahawks. Like you got to scrap in your division. I mean, Zach Wilson. We had 2 wins against the Bills with Zach Wilson. Come on. Jet Central was saying Jennings would be a nice target. Is that the San Fran wide receiver? We're not a wide receiver away. Yeah, but that's different if they're young. You know what I mean? Isn't he young? 28. Just turned 28. Oh, he had 975 yards last year. Jeez. But kind of a one-hit wonder. I mean, yeah, look, I'll put it this way. I'm not going to pretend to know like Juwan Jennings game through and through, you know. But if they are going to acquire a receiver, I would want it to be somebody they could see being on the team for 2 to 3 years and not just a rental. I don't think they're going to be involved in this like a trade and extend with this player, but that's kind of what we're looking for. I know Romeo Doubs is a popular one, but I think he's had some conduct detrimental to the team, which is not what you want. All right. Oh, the Dolphins because they have no playoff wins since 2000. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. That's hilarious. I did know that, but I forgot about it. Um, because I don't argue with fans of other teams on social media. I don't really argue with anyone on social media anymore, but I don't even engage with fans of other teams anymore. What is a QB comp for successful fields throughout 2025 and 2026? That great channel, BJF. Thank you. I'll give you one right now. I'll give you one right now. 2021 Jalen Hurts. Not 2022 when he popped and they went 14-1 and he was on track to win MVP and they went to the Super Bowl. We will take that. Obviously, we will take that. But we're talking about what is the minimum, like what's a more realistic situation here. So in 2021, Jalen Hurts started 15 games. In those 15 games, his team was 8-7. He completed 62% of his passes, 16 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 7.3 yards per attempt. QBR approaching 60. Justin Fields has actually demonstrated the ability to hit all those numbers. Here's the big one. Stack percentage, 5.6. Now, I know Jalen Hurts has the best offensive line in the NFL. So, okay, maybe he doesn't get below to 5%. But Fields in his career, it's been like 12, 13. We got to get that number to around 8-ish. Because I'm telling you, that's going to be the week. And I know people don't really seem to bring that up with Fields. Like, can he process? Is he more accurate? RPO, run game. Like, dude, the biggest ability or inability, the biggest skill set of quarterbacks in the NFL that is not talked about enough is the ability to manage pressure and not get freaking sacked. Sacks are killers. Every 2 sacks that you take as a quarterback that is pretty much on you, a sack that's on you, because plenty of them are. I watched freaking Mike White, who sucked and was unathletic, come in and immediately get sacked half as much as Zach Wilson. Why? Because he threw the ball or because he made an adjustment to line, whatever he did. Now, do we win a lot of games? No, because Mike White had a noodle arm and he had stone feet, but he could not get sacked. So I think every like 2 sacks that you take as a quarterback that are on you are it's pretty much an interception. So it's if you total those up on Fields, like, and count those as interceptions, and you're like, he has to get better at that. Otherwise, it's this offense will be trash if he cannot get better at that. And the coaching and the offensive line, everybody. Let me rephrase that because it's not just him. The offenses in general needs to prevent the sacks, and I think the pass pro will do that. So now I think it's up to the coaching staff and the quarterback, and like wide receivers getting open, whatever the case may be. Now, last year, Fields, it was his career best. He was just under 10%. Okay. That's starting to get into a range where you might not be dead last in the NFL, still towards the bottom. You got to get around 8. Around 8% is where, like, okay, some quarterbacks have that number. You're 10% or more, you're not a good quarterback. If you're getting sacked 10 or more, you're not a successful quarterback. Maybe it's on your offensive line. Maybe it's on freaking Green Bean Jets fan, whoever you want to blame. You're getting sacked more than 10% of your dropbacks. You are not going to be a successful quarterback that's running an efficient offense. That number has to get to 8%. Everything else, I will deal with. Get that under 8, get that to 7.5% sack percentage. And then Fields has shown he can hit 63% of his passes. He can throw for 7.1 yards per attempt. He can have a 2-to-1 touchdown interception ratio. He can have a QBR above the threshold of 50. And he can run for 1,000 yards. He's shown he can do all those things. Get that sack percentage to around 7. And this offense has a chance. If it's at 12, we're going to be dead in the water. That's really what it comes down to. And let's not drop the damn ball. We're still dropping we're having a drop C's in camp, man. We had the drop C's last year, 8th highest drop percentage. Got to be better there. No, yeah, man, I get it. I just I'm not like a diehard college football fan in terms of there's going to be weeks where I don't know, like can you really designate 2 of your whole weekend days to football? Because Sundays I'm watching the Jets for 3 hours and then doing like a 90-minute post game show. That's 4 hours. That's almost 5 hours out of my weekend to the Jets. To then like sit on the couch and watch 3 college football games, I think would be kind of crazy. I mean, hey, if that's your thing, go for it. If you're retired and you've earned it, go for it. I don't have enough money to do that. I would not have enough money to sit my ass down for 2 straight weekend days. Not yet. Let's have a fun hypothetical. I like it. Josh Allen goes down. Okay. I don't know if that qualifies as fun. Josh Allen goes down early in the season. That's sick, man. But hey, it's hard to have any sympathy after what we've been through, man. After that Aaron Rodgers injury, like I don't root for injuries, but if they happen, I'm like, yeah, tough shit, you know. How does the AFC East do it? If Josh Allen is out, the division is completely up for grabs. Completely up. Now, Miami would be the favorite because they've actually shown they can make the playoffs with their current quarterback and head coach. But obviously, Tua can miss 5 games, and then they could go 1-4 in that stretch, and all of a sudden, then you're back down to whatever. The Patriots, I think Drake May has talent, but he's still a complete unknown. So, and I don't think the Patriots roster is like more. Is it more talented than the Jets? I mean, I think the Patriots having a higher win projection is based on Mike Vrabel being a steady head coach who's at least average. The Jets coaching staff is unknown, and people are projecting a Drake May year 2 leap, which is a fine projection, but it still is a projection. The games I watched of Drake May, he wasn't good. No, I didn't watch them all. But I liked him coming out of college. What we want most is the offense to function as advertised. Field should play well in it. I would like that. 8 to 9 wins would be awesome. I feel like the team will play better down the stretch as Fields teams get used to playing in the new system. Oh, dude, you know how it's going to go. Justin Fields is going to have an absolute masterclass week 17 against some team that's resting their starters for the playoffs or whatever. And then we'll get to fight about that for 3 months. That'd be fun. That's how it goes. It will not be a swift verdict. Justin Fields won't absolutely kill it to the point where it's like, oh my gosh, he's the guy. But he won't be horrible enough to completely dissuade the Justin Fields fan club. That is how that's how this goes, man. We all know it. He's going to show just enough flashes. The Jets offense will just have just enough other limiting resources where there's plausible deniability. But that's probably how it will go. And then we'll be debating, do you draft a quarterback? But I think in Jetland, like it's not like Sam, because Sam was ours. We drafted him. I think, but to me, it's not mutually exclusive. That's why the 2-year deal is kind of like the 1-1 deal is kind of nice because you could draft a quarterback and then you can have Fields be your opening day bridge starter the next year. Right? There you go. Boom, boom. We have the 3rd easiest schedule this year. Is that true? About time we get hit with a hard schedule. Why can't we win 8-9 games? It's possible that they win 8-9 games. It's definitely possible that they win 8-9 games. Reasons why it's possible is talented offensive line, recent all-pro at every level of the defense, should be a top 5 rushing attack. kicker was really good last year. Nick Folk was really good last year. Kickers matter. A kicker can, win a game or maybe even up to 2 games. If you're talking about a bottom 5 kicker versus a top 5 kicker is probably a 2-game swing. An average kicker versus an awesome kicker is probably a game swing. So, Nick Folk was probably the best $800,000 that Woody Johnson spent this offseason. Reasons that they won't. I mean, rookie head coaches, it's pretty rare. It's pretty rare. It's just part of it. And I don't want to beat the dead horse with Fields. But where would you rank him in the NFL among starting quarterbacks? You wouldn't rank him in the top 15. So rookie head coach, and probably most teams they play will have a better quarterback. I mean, that doesn't mean you can't do it. Those are just 2 pretty significant hurdles to overcome, right? But it's possible. This isn't like some 2-win roster. I've seen 2-win rosters. This isn't a 2-win roster. There's some dudes who can play. You tell me maybe Fields can only complete 34% of his passes in practice because we're fielding the second coming of the 85 Bears defense. To be honest, I don't make anything of that. The viral stat that was like he was whatever of whatever for 3 days. I truly don't make anything of it, and I will be consistent in that. If he goes, if he goes 32 of 36 for 3 touchdowns and no picks over the next 3 days, I really won't make much of that. Like, yeah, I'd rather, all things being equal, I'd rather him do better because it's the most important position. And all things equal, I'd rather more positive news on offense because we've been so starved for points. But I don't really make much of that, the training camp stats. If you've seen it if you followed training camp long enough, you just know not to care too much about that one way or the other. Now, if it's like against the Giants, it happens again, then it's like 8 practices in a row he hasn't completed over 50%. They're like, okay, what's going on? But in general, try not to get too worked up about that. Stat prediction video. Oh man, I'll have to have Dylan Turman hang with me for that one. I think I'm gonna do top 25 Jets on the roster probably next. But stat prediction is so hard, man. It's so hard, and it's injuries always ruin it. Me overrating the players and the Jets typically ruins it as well. But I'll leave it there. If you guys want to hit the thumbs up on your way out, that'd be cool. We'll be previewing the preseason game on Friday. We'll talk Jets then.